when they are reviewing people within the judiciary?
Absolutely, we don't, and it's important that we do. And it's also important that I just pray to God, like when these petitions are submitted, just take your time. You said something earlier, and you said it so fast. I really wanted to write it down. You said be patient, and just take your time and read it, and so we can do it properly. That's what we need them. That's what we need them to do. Now, these 25 judges who have had petitions written against them or submitted against them, let's see if there's real value in it. We shouldn't be releasing their names. I really
That was another
hate this
question I was going to
idea
ask.
of releasing names before. Look, if somebody makes an allegation against me to EFCC, unless it's made on social media, the EFCC has no right, and I think people to start suing
Speaking out
them.
about that.
No, just suing them. Just sue them. Just for that alone, you have no right to release it.
Thank you.
So I mean, that's how you get all your relatives coming to knock on the door. Ireti, they said it's 50 million you stole at Smooth, and I'm like, Smooth? Which Smooth?
Thank you very
I
much
don't
for
have
that,
any
Miss
money at
Ireti.
Smooth.
Allegations and listing people, and even people who have the petitions dropped, they still listed their names. A little bit worrying there, but anything you want to add to it very quickly? No? Okay, just taking it in. All right. Very quickly, I am moving on to you though next, Tunde. The Senate have appealed a court ruling, speaking of what's going on in the judiciary, I particularly like this story, nullifying Omo-Agege's suspension. Now, I've taken this one from the Premium Times. Again, it's across a number of newspapers. And this is following the attempted suspension of Senator Steve Omo-Agege. He was suspended by the Senate for 90 days. The court nullified the suspension, saying it wasn't in accordance with the law. The Senate has no real power to suspend beyond 14 days, but the Senate have immediately petitioned, and they say it is because he took this matter to court.
So I mean, that's the entire story. Pretty much that's the entire story. So I mean, the only other thing is to contrast, one senator's behavior against another's, Mr. the show, and Omo-Agege, and their approach. Now I agree with the court. I mean, their laws. You can only suspend for 14 days at a stretch. They've gone about it the wrong way. I don't know if it's 14 days period or it's only 14 days at any point in time and you have to renew it. So let's say they haven't been smart about it, but they clearly point out that no, it's not because we haven't just suspended him for no reason. We've suspended him because he took an issue that was a proposal on the plenary for the reordering of the electoral times. He's taken it to court, and I agree with them. Even the judge pointed out that is it's an abuse of his position and his power. All right, he's part of a body, the legislative body, and they're debating and discussing a matter. It's not for him to then take the outcomes of that. I've never heard of it anywhere, to be honest. Though I mean, the models and the nations that we copy and we try to model our style of governance, our democracy along. You never hear of a lawmaker taking an issue to court because it didn't go his way during discussions or plenary. So, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So it is very interesting to see time and time again in the papers how the Senate takes such a strong stance on being questioned in court. But we do have to move on swiftly. Up next, the Yobe government are considering a whistleblowing policy against tree poachers. This one is in from the Daily Times, and it deals with environmental degradation, desert encroachment issues. They're saying there's a lot of illegal tree felling, and the environmental protection units backed by the governor, the Yobe state government, have said they're going to start rewarding people who give information on activities of poachers. What's your take?
Good luck to getting people to tell. This is the first time I'm actually hearing the term tree poaching. I mean, it's entirely new to me, but it's illegal felling. People going to go and cut trees.
Yeah. Now, you see, this comes closer to mind when we see a lot of the resource issues we're having, the resource wars, and it seems like it's finally dawning on the governors of the states what they need to have been doing. They should have been doing this a while ago.
Exactly. That's precisely what I was going to go to. I mean, they point out the increased pressure on land for farming. We know the issues that's having with herders.
Yes.
So we say land for farming, indiscriminate felling of trees, and illegal mining have negative impacts on the environment. The truth is, if you fail to care for the environment, if you fail to care for this vessel that is our home, it's failing to care for the future.
Something else I particularly like is it does talk about campaigns across their 17 local government areas.
Exactly, to sensitize people, and the North is it's at risk, or most at risk, immediately at risk of desert encroachment from Sahara. I mean, this you think about it, millennia ago, the Sahara itself was full of vegetation, right? And it's just it just keeps it eat downwards. At that time, let's say that human beings or the human race didn't know what to do about it, but now we do, and we should do those things, right?
Plant trees.
If you don't pay attention, it's a lagging indicator. If you don't plant a tree today and you don't care for the environment today, you don't feel the impact until further down the line. So you're handing your kids and the next generation a worse situation than the one you inherited. We should always, it's unfortunately not what we're best at, but we should be forward thinking.
I certainly hope that everyone in the South is paying attention to this as well, because people are moving south, and the United Nations had said that famine will be declared in quite a few West African countries this year, if not leading up next year. We're looking at Chad, Niger, like a number of countries that surround us. So if you're wondering what's causing a lot of the unrest we're seeing in this region, there you go, the environment. And finally, let's talk about the weather, shall we? The Punch newspaper, the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency on Thursday announced that there will be flooding in about 35 states this year. Very serious stuff. It does give us more detail also in the Guardian newspaper as well. We're looking at states that are going to experience flooding. Include, excuse me as I just pull up my list right here.
All
yes, Port Harcourt, Sokoto, Lagos, Ibadan, Kaduna. They're saying that it certainly won't be as bad as anything we saw in 2012, nowhere near, and not as bad as last year, but that people should be aware that we are going to experience flooding. It happens in coastal areas. Yeah,
true, exactly. First of all, a lot of this, the areas mentioned are coastal, and a combination of things. Global, weather patterns are changing. Because in the last couple of years, there's generally been a lot more rain. That's been tied to climate change and a bunch of other things. That's on the one hand. Then also look at how we build up our cities, right? In the past, I mean, humans were nomadic, right? So you'd move from place to place, and you'd essentially you would bow or bend to the nature and environment around you. That sort of changed when we started creating settlements and cities. When you do that, you need to learn to make the environment bend to you and not the other way around. And we haven't done a good job of that. We haven't built the things that there's some cities and states that don't have drainages. The basic drainage. Not even to talk of proper city planning things where you plan artificial lakes and reservoirs and ways to manage natural water, so you can take more control of what's going on.
Absolutely.
We even have the unfortunate case, which is what I'd like them to do and enforce a bit more. The way we have building controls, we have whole communities that have set up in floodplains. They're just a couple hundred years ago. That place was a riverbed. It was a floodplain, and it's only different now because there is a dam that had been created in an upstream country. That dam can fail. When it can overflow, and that happens a lot, especially in the southwest.
I mean, we just saw in Kenya a dam broke in Kenya, killed about 30 people recently. So we do need to be very aware of these things.
And not all of them are controlled by by your country or our country. So people can say, "Oh, my family has been here for 50 years, 100 years," but that can change. If you're in a floodplain, you're in a floodplain.
Thank you very much. We have a message here on Twitter. It says, this is from Alliance. It says, Okufi's interventions are always premised on sound understanding, cerebrally fit. Thank you very much. Omo-Agege Emotion says,
can we have that as a meme?
Omo says, even if we've been working on thermal scanners at airports, the inadequate air cooling systems will keep giving us false positives.
Is that how it is in your house when you use the thermometer? Stop it, guys.
Henry Manuel says, the federal government signs an MOU to help with HIV-related research. Very nice. But I know a lecturer friend who has applied to the Federal Ministry of Health for part funding to research on this in areas with their students. It's been a year and she's still waiting for a response. Meanwhile, she got part funding from an NGO. Our government,
we like optics.
Henry Mano.
Yes, indeed. And let's see if we can take one more message very quickly. Noni says, good morning, people. So we know how big our population is, and Noni puts in quotes, but we don't know how many HIV positive people there are. Nigerian statistics never fail to amaze me.
Lagos, thank you very much for being part of